Hello, how are you, Excuse Slayers?
Let's hope that the internet works well. It looks like it's working well.
Can you hear us? Can everybody hear us okay? I don't see us yet.
There's a
minute.
delay.
There's a delay. There's a delay.
I'm going to go get my glasses.
Okay, I want to make sure. Can somebody say, yes, we can hear you in the chat? I see that Heather's here, maybe only able to watch for 30 minutes, but I'm here. Hi, Heather. Hat Pill saying howdy. Andy says, what's everybody eating today? Well, I will tell you that I polished off a bag of the leg of lamb. I had some good eggs and beef for breakfast. And Joe still has to make dinner, but it has been a delicious morning. Pot roast and angel eggs for dinner. F&P Feel Good says I had 3 burger patties, about 17 ounces. Thank you, Robin. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much. So I have a
Did you say you ate like almost an entire box of meat chips?
I did almost eat an entire meat thins for breakfast.
I'm eating.
I have a question before we take questions.
Look at all that fat.
It looks amazing. I have a question.
Okay.
Are you ticked off yet? Are you angry? Are you feeling a little snarky? Are people that are normally annoying even suddenly
Are you on your spouse's
more
nerves yet?
annoying than usual?
Am I on your nerves yet?
Yes, we're totally on each other's like last nerve, and you're like, how can I be this ticked off? It's only
I can't have cheese.
Day 2 of the challenge. Well, if your first question is why do I feel like sweaty garbage today, it's because there's a toddler on the inside of you that is no longer calling the shots. There is no more picky eater sanctuary going on. So even though I want to have some macadamia nuts and I would like to have an actual cup of coffee topped with whipped cream, I can have...
That is about how much coffee you would normally
None
drink
of those things. None of them.
I mean, you've literally gone from that
yes
to that.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy that I've had no Celsius. I haven't had like any dressing. I haven't had blue cheese dressing. I haven't had a mozzarella stick, okay? I'm getting a little bit ticked about this, and maybe I'm not the only one.
I think you should do my job. Because
what's your job?
I am currently
dealing with me?
I'm editing a vlog that's coming out tomorrow, and I'm sorry. I'm going to warn you guys now, for those of you who are doing beef, butter, bacon, egg. Tomorrow's vlog is an old vlog that we filmed.
Yes.
But I need to get it out to be in I'm behind on editing vlogs because of our travel.
And we can't skip it for a month.
And so... It is from before Keto Palooza, and we want to get up our Keto Palooza vlog this week. So I need to get this one out first, otherwise it's not in chronological order, which really annoys me. But in this video that I have been editing today, we made pizza.
Well, and I see like Evan Feelgood says, I was already basically carnivore. I'm ticked about that because guess what? We went shopping.
Heavy cream is carnivore.
I couldn't have no chicken. I couldn't have no salmon. I had to pass by the shrimpies. I can't have no tuna fish. Suddenly, I'm standing there like...
You sound like a toddler.
Crying. This is me. I was like, you know what I'd really like today? I'd like some sardines, but I can't have any.
Says nobody ever.
Says this lady, if it's the one thing I'm not supposed to have. So it could be totally fine. It could be like, I can have it. So I'm not upset about it. But like,
so we should do a fish.
All I wanted today was turkey lunch meat. That's it.
So we should do a fish challenge, and then you're gonna desire
and then I'll
liver.
want beef.
You'll want liver.
There's a certain amount of I want what I can't have. Yep. I want a creamy. I want lots of things.
Didn't help that on Saturday or Friday. What day did you went? You went and did your 5K on Friday, right?
Yeah.
So on Friday, I made 16 creamies, and they're all in the freezer.
I can't believe you just put chicken wings, $4 off a package at Sam's Club. See? Look at all these. I'm missing deals. Okay. There's deals.
Are you done being a toddler?
Probably not. I'm going to say...
We're here for them, not you being
that
a toddler.
If you're
not
feeling...
I am really a toddler.
If you're feeling a little toddlery,
it's
just
okay.
know you're not alone. Do not take your partner's head off. Do not, if you're a teacher, do not be mean to them littles because you're kind of upset and you're going through a
It'll go
process.
away.
There is a carbohydrate lie detector that is built into triple B&E because all of us are going to say, I don't see how there's any room for improvement with my carbohydrate intake because I've already got it down to negative 72. And then we go on triple B&E and I'm ticked, which means that I'm not as low on carbohydrates as I thought I was.
Right.
And also, I wasn't as low on extraneous beverages as I thought I was. Like, I've totally cut back my coffee intake until we do triple B&E. And I literally have to face it one coffee experience at a time.
Yeah.
No diet soda. No gum. I'm living without gum. Oh, I just knocked something off.
You just turned off my monitor.
There it goes. It came back on. Even the electronic devices are slightly afraid of me right now.
Okay.
And rightfully so.
I'm afraid of you right now.
You should be. Sleep with one eye open.
Welcome to our check-in.
Hi.
Rachel's aggravated. I'm a little aggravated, but
We're doing this in community.
yeah.
So
This is why we're doing community.
this is why we're doing it in community.
Yeah.
So that nobody is thinking like, am I broken as a human? Why am I dizzy? Why do I have a headache? Why do I feel nauseous? There's change going on.
Yeah.
We healing.
So if you have questions, go ahead and type question, and then your question.
Yes.
We'll answer as many as we can in the time that
You're
we have.
scary. I am scary.
I do want to say, for those of you who are on Keto Beyond the Couch, my headache went away. I guess I really was. I was talking about it in a
Electrolytes.
vlog. Much lower on electrolytes than I thought I was. I probably didn't do enough on Saturday coming into Sunday. Woke up with that headache or got it shortly into the day, and then just never really took enough electrolytes. I guess I didn't realize how much I rely on things like Element and Redmond Relight, because I do drink 2 or 3 of them a day, and I didn't have any yesterday, and that's probably why it got worse and worse. But I woke up this morning, I took like 3 of the Keto Chow or the Relight capsules, because that's what's sitting at my desk. Obviously wasn't enough. I took 4 more of the Keto Chow tablets, the old tablets, and within about 20 minutes, by the end of Keto Beyond the Couch, my headache was gone.
yeah.
Real quick before we get into the questions, I also want to mention
There is life on the other side of this.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple of days, but don't stop now. Don't stop just because
'cause it
it's
sucks.
hard and you're not feeling great, because
Right.
that's what happens. And then we go back into, you know what, let me just have my comfort food.
Right.
We don't want comfort food. We want real results.
Right.
And that's not going to happen until we get on the other side of this.
So what I wanted to finish saying is that I really miss having something in my drink. So I decided, let me put some extra daily mineral drops in my thing. We were running
Wow.
out the store to Sam's Club. I put some extra in, and then as I'm drinking, I'm like, my water tastes funny. I forgot that I put it in there. It doesn't taste horrible, but it doesn't taste great.
Right.
But I am getting a bunch of daily minerals. We've been trying to answer questions in the group, and somebody did have a question
Yes.
about daily minerals, and I know it's been talked about before, but I'm going to mention it real quick again. So daily minerals from Keto Chow, which are the ones that Dr. Berry designed, that's where we should start. And honestly, we should be using those on beef, butter, bacon,
Every
egg,
day.
off beef, butter, bacon, egg. People who you know are eating the standard American diet, they all need it. So let's talk about what the daily minerals are. Dr. Berry put together a whole list of minerals that we cannot get in our diet, whether you are keto, carnivore, or eating the standard American diet. Hopefully there's nobody in this group that's doing that. The reason that we're lacking those minerals, no matter what you eat, is because we currently in the United States are farming on minerally depleted land. Not only are we farming on minerally depleted land, but we are also raising our livestock on minerally depleted land. So if you know anything about the way farming is supposed to work, it's supposed to farm the land, you grow your vegetables, your whatever fruits and you know, wheat and all that, you grow that, then you're supposed to take that land, move your livestock on there, let them feed off of that, they refertilize the land, and then you take another year off, and you kind of keep going back and forth. So
We're
it's
not
a
taking-
cycle.
we're not taking
We
years
don't
off.
do that. We cut down whatever we're growing, we replant, and we end up in minerally depleted land. And so everything that we have is depleted minerals. So he put together, these are the minerals that we need, and so that should be our base. And then if you need more electrolytes, add on more electrolytes. But we should all be doing them as a base every day. Again, whether you are keto or you're carnivore or you have family on the standard American diet. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick, then we're going to get into the questions. We mentioned this on our vlog, so when you see the vlog probably next week or the end of this week,
that.
you're going to see we've already mentioned, but I want to mention it to you guys because you're in the course. People ask us about spices and herbs. We tell you stick with Redmond for the most part because they're clean. They're pretty much all beef, butter, bacon, egg compliant so long as you're not using 5 tablespoons of it in a day. There's 2 that are not beef, butter, bacon, and egg compliant. Red Rock Barbecue and Chili Lime.
Which is my favorite.
Because there's sweetener in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just know that there is sweetener in this, so I would stay away from the Chili Lime, as great as it is.
So Andy has a question. First time using
You're looking
Keto
up
Chow
there. We're down here.
capsules, how many a day? It says 2 to 3, but with triple B and E, should it be more?
I would start with 2 to 3, and then now is it 2 to 3 in a serving, and how many, I would start with 2 to 3, and then again, if you need more, there's no right or wrong answer with electrolytes.
You'll usually pee out
Some of it comes
what
down
you
to
don't need.
how you feel. And I want to be careful with this because we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. If you're on the standard American diet, it is possible to take in way too much potassium. It's actually possible to take in way too much sodium, especially if you're eating tons of fast food and then you're not drinking any fluids, things like that. But on keto, it is very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is very difficult to overdo electrolytes because electrolytes get stored in our glycogen stores. And we don't have the same glycogen stores that somebody on a standard American diet is. That's where all the carbohydrates hide out.
Right.
The reason you have a whoosh when you first start keto, or if you're going from really dirty keto to beef, butter, bacon, egg, is because your body dumps all of those glycogen stores. Because we don't have the glycogen stores, we need to really stay on top of our electrolytes. So it's very difficult to overdo them. You need about 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams of sodium a day minimum. You need about 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams a day of potassium, and then about 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium. Magnesium's the only one that's difficult to get in your food on keto because it's generally found in higher carbohydrate vegetables, but again, minerally depleted land. So that's one that you do need to kind of supplement. But for the rest of them, it's difficult to overdo it so long as you are drinking fluid. Now, there's no minimum amount of fluid, but if you're taking a bunch of capsules of electrolytes from Keto Chow and then drinking 1 glass of water, you could end up with too many electrolytes, which will lead to some possible bloating.
I have found that people, especially in triple B and E, expect that you're going to drink more water than you're used to drinking. Yeah. I find that the combination of just like a lot of protein, the fat, we season our food, it's just gonna make you thirsty, and it's okay. And you're drinking water, so have at it.
If you drink water, water chases salt. If you take in too much salt, your body wants to get rid of the salt. The way it gets rid of the salt is in your poop, and then in pee. Poop comes first, which is why you can get a lot of runs if you're taking in too much salt. But if you're not taking in enough water, it has no way to flush that excess sodium out. Water chases salt, and so that's where you get bloat. And I learned this firsthand. We were doing a 72-hour fast. 48 hours into it, I was up 10 pounds. Now, how do you gain 10 pounds when you are not eating? What happened was I talked to Dr. Barry and Kim Howerton, and they're like, Joe, how much salt are you having? And I'm like, well, you said have a lot of salt when you're on a fast. And he's like, yes, but how much? I had discovered, this was several years ago, and you can do this on beef, butter, bacon, and egg, by the way. I had discovered that if you took a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of Redmond
Seasoned salt.
The yellow salt. There's nothing bad in there. If you took a half a teaspoon of that and mixed it into a cup of water like this, hot water.
It makes a delicious chicken-like broth.
It tastes like chicken broth.
It really does.
But there's no chicken
There's no chicken in it.
So I was drinking about 10 of those a day. But that was the only fluid I was drinking.
That was
not enough fluid to too much salt.
Exactly.
And so I began gaining a bunch of water weight. I cut it out for one day and dropped 16 pounds.
So don't.
In a single day.
So go ahead and use that if you would like that, but don't drink 10 of them in a day like Joe did.
Right.
That's the lesson.
So yeah, I would not worry about it. You know, if at 3 or 4 you feel like you still have a headache, you're still getting cramps, take more.
Take more. Just see how you feel afterwards.
Okay, let's jump into some of these comments. FMP Feel Good says, I'm trying to dehydrate some fresh egg whites to make the bread Indigo Neely did. Has anyone tried it? Yes, I have done that. You can dehydrate them. You can also put them in a freezer. If you have lots of eggs, it is a great way to do it. She said it seems like a whole lot of work compared to the powder, and that stuff is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is work, but I mean, we have the utensils, so.
The only thing I would say is that if you're going to do it, what I would do is pour all of your egg whites into like a bowl or a cup measure or something like that. Go over to your dehydrator, pull the tray out maybe halfway. Make sure it's level too, by the way.
Right.
And then with your tray out, obviously you're going to have the silicone liner thing in there. Pour it in there and then gently push it back. Do not try to load up your tray and then carry it across the room.
No.
Ask me how I know.
It's not good.
Lots of people talking about what they were eating for dinner. Here we go. So already basically carnivore.
That naked coffee experience.
Reagan said she misses her coffee, but 28 more days. Raggedy Ann. 28 more days.
I honestly have to just be like, this is where I live right now, because if I'm looking on the other side, like what awaits me in the promised land 31 days from now, like sometimes I can lose enthusiasm for like living today. And it's like, oh, the kids want to go have a conversation or let's go and take a walk. And I'm like, no, I'm not like going to enjoy myself. I'm waiting for my enjoyment on the other end of this 31 days.
Let's see. Andy said, I didn't have coffee yesterday. I caved today. Susan went to work all day and I stayed home and cooked meat for the week. And then people are saying, Michelle said you can buy and freeze those wings. Here's the funny part. We just left Sam's Club.
We did.
Literally, it was like a bolt. So we were in and out of Sam's Club in 7 minutes because we had to get home for the live stream. So I didn't even walk down the chicken aisle. But you can freeze them.
But there was no sense of even walking around and looking at stuff.
Yeah, but now I want to go back and get them and vacuum seal them and freeze them because chicken wings are expensive,
You doing this on your own, friend, because I don't even want to look at it.
You don't want to look at them? Robin said, Joe, I think you're the teenager and Rachel is a toddler.
Yes. You're like the surly teenager. For sure.
Let's see. Goomba Lord. So far, I'm only missing my flavored electrolytes.
That's good.
Me too.
That is really, really good.
Let's see.
Janice
is here, said I made the best chuck roast of my life and used the juices and bone broth for amazing sauce.
I'm stuffed. I love that.
And you can add some beef gelatin if you want to
thicken it up.
Michelle said I may take back my flavored electrolytes. Stevia never bothered me. Raw electrolytes are hard to choke.
They are, but what I'm telling you is
that's why I use the cat. Excuse me, I get the hiccups.
Are you done?
I'm trying.
I have no patience for this today.
I know you don't.
So
I do.
So here's the thing, though. What I have found is if you have even the slightest sweet tooth, if you're like, I have the slightest sweet tooth, those flavored electrolytes really pull at me, and it's like, okay, you gave me, I had these. Now what else is there in this refrigerator? Like, that's the challenge.
Wooly said my first day. Spent until 2 p.m. this afternoon working outside, closing the pool, bringing in plants, clipping bushes. That helped a lot. Now to get through till bed.
I know, right? And honestly, finding stuff to do, it's a good time. And this is a great time of year. Go outside. Today, I went outside. It is the nicest weather that it's been. It's like getting cooler. I even here in our like winter weather states, people are saying it's really nice outside. It's not too hot, not too cold. Like I still don't quite need to turn on the heater yet. So let's leverage that. Like this is the time to go visit some local museums, like go for a walk, go for a bike ride, have a picnic, take what you're eating outside with you on a picnic, like go explore. This is the time to like go visit with a friend, have a family game night. Like you want to be doing stuff. You will find that occupying your time, like it will help.
You want some candy? I shouldn't give you this because you want your meat thins. But that fat, it's like candy. It's
so
like
good.
super sweet when you haven't had anything sweet in a couple of days.
It's really good.
Janice says, so thankful for this community. I've tried beef, butter, bacon, eggs several times before. I've never made it strictly to the second day.
Way to go, Janet.
I feel great, and I'm so grateful for everyone here.
I'm so glad you're here. And again, we're doing this in community. So like everybody finds that there's unique challenges, but like don't feel disheartened. Like there's nothing wrong with you because you find this to be challenging. I find this to be challenging.
Okay, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
I'm struggling. Forgot about no flavored electrolytes. I had some today. Need help figuring out what else to take. Capsules have been bothering my stomach a little.
Well, I mean, there's always the drops, and there's always like giving yourself time to settle in between. So like if you're taking one, I mean, especially if you probably have the daily minerals. Like so if you're using that when you're cooking, like cooking your eggs, cooking your ground beef with that, you've got the daily minerals. You may not even need a whole bunch of extra electrolytes. I mean, it's also going to matter as far as like your energy expenditure, like you out sweating a lot. I mean, one of the reasons why Joe is probably at lower levels than I was is because he really gets drained of electrolytes when he dives.
Right.
And he had
I did dive on Saturday.
You had diving on Saturday, but then you also had pool work on Sunday. So there was just a lot of stuff that you're not thinking you're getting depleted, but you are. But if you're not having those issues, you may not need a whole bunch of superfluous electrolytes, Debbie. Or, because I can remember you were weren't you putting the daily electrolytes in your coffee? Because you were finding out like one drop too many, bleh, the coffee tastes like garbage. So just go back to that and, using it on your food may be better.
The other thing that you can do, you can go to the grocery store and buy something called New Salt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, NU Salt. That is potassium. There's no salt in it. Okay, there's no sodium in it. It's potassium. And you can season your food with that and then some Redmond real salt, and that's going to give you a lot of the electrolytes that you need. So I personally don't like the taste of it that much, but it is a way, a lot of people love it. Because, I mean, people started using that because they didn't want sodium, because we have in this country, in this world, demonized the wrong white powder. All the doctors and all of
eat sugar, not
high
salt.
up people say,
you started this, so don't even.
Say, like, don't eat salt. Salt's bad for you, but the real problem is the sugar, not the salt.
Mm-hmm.
And I highly suggest, if you are worried about salt, go read the book, The Salt Fix.
It's really helpful.
Barbara said, I found a recipe for making chaffles with just pork rinds, eggs, and water to thin to consistency. May I use it?
Sure.
Absolutely. Just, again, don't snack on them. Make them part of your meal.
Yeah.
That's our only issue with pork rinds, and I am just as guilty of that. Pork rinds tends to be a snack.
So make them,
and just put it with your meal.
Couple chaffles, and then like your eggs or hamburger or whatever that you're eating with it. It's good. That's great.
M. Mardigan.
Hi.
Question, taking daily minerals, can I also use my usual vitamins? Vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, K, fish oil. Yeah, you can. I will tell you that you probably don't need them. Most vitamins that we are taking, that we are buying in the store, are nothing but expensive urine for us.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Barry's got a couple of great videos about this. But you can pretty much get every vitamin you need. And there's actually a piece on this in the course. But you can pretty much get every vitamin that you need just from beef.
Mm-hmm.
From beef and liver. And then when you're not on beef, butter, bacon, and egg, if you add in salmon roe, pretty much with those, you're getting every single vitamin you need and it's bioavailable as opposed to even a lot of the stuff that you're supposed to get in vegetables that is not bioavailable. And most of the vitamins that we're buying in the stores, like the one-a-days and that kind of stuff, none of that stuff's even bioavailable. That's why you just end up with expensive urine.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of laws of what they can market to you, but it's like, oh, it's got vitamin B in it, but your body can't use it. Doesn't matter, it's got vitamin B, so they can say this is vitamin B. Same thing with like magnesium. Like there's versions of magnesium, your body absolutely cannot use it. Like magnesium oxide, they're gonna be like, oh, it's got 595 milligrams of magnesium, but your body can't use any of that.
Right.
So, but they can sell it to you and say,
it's magnesium.
You're having magnesium. And when it comes to a supplement like vitamins, the laws are even more lenient for them because they don't even have to put nutrition labels on it. They just can slap a label, this is a supplement. And they don't have to put calories. They don't have to put all the ingredients. I mean...
Is it even effective?
Right.
Is it even bioavailable?
Somebody was asking Janice how she cooked that. She said, I cooked it in my Instant with 1 cup of bone broth.
Nice.
And only Redmond salt for an hour and 20 minutes.
And that's a really nice, like you feel like, okay, that's a good investment of my time because I can do other things while it's cooking. It doesn't take too long. And then I have a nice big meal.
Yep. Debbie wants to know where your wings are. She's lost them.
I
stripped them of her because she is not being an angel today.
Not. I need devil's
My
horns.
wife is not an angel today. At least not towards me. And I'm gonna say that I haven't exactly been nice either.
He actually was like, who are you over there?
I've been grumpy.
And I've been grumpy because you've been dopey. No.
Thank you. Andy said, thanks for answering my question. I had a headache this morning, so
I
wondered.
Good. I'm not good that you had a headache, but like good that you can
FMP Phil
answer the
said,
question.
I don't supplement electrolytes. I feel fine. I salt food to taste. I've been too busy to drink or strenuously working out. I add about 1/8 of a teaspoon to 20 ounces of water. I'm not saying that is for all. Yeah, but that is a great place to start.
Yeah.
We always tell people, listen, the number one thing that most of us don't have enough of is salt. Your body needs salt. And again, it will do almost anything it can to regulate that sodium to have what it needs. I, even not on beef, butter, bacon, and egg, consume probably 8,000 to 10,000 milligrams of sodium a day. Yet, when I go get blood work done, it still says my sodium's on the low end.
Yeah. Now, I do see Lolo says the Keto Chow Daily Minerals are rough to drink without a little added flavor electrolytes. That's why I highly recommend...
You can put it on your cooking food.
That while you're cooking your like ground beef or eggs, put a
keto brick.
Put a couple of drops of the Daily Minerals on that and eat it that way.
You don't taste it if you put it on your food when you're cooking.
Yeah, it just tastes like you're salting your food. Yeah. It doesn't, and there's like a mineral taste to meat. So it kind of just works with that flavor as opposed to like gumming up your water. You can
do Miriam's trick.
You also don't have to take it all in one shot. You could do like 2 drops in a great big amount of water and then figure like I'm going to have some, throughout the day because I'm the same way. Drinking like the prescribed shot of that stuff in one go hits me in the heart.
A serving is a tablespoon, which is just like a lot.
A lot.
So I'll tell you what Miriam does. So what she does is she takes her electrolyte drops or her daily minerals. She takes a straw. She puts them down the straw like this, and then
it's
so it hits you, but then the water right behind it just follows it up.
Right. So, that kind of can help it a little bit.
So,
you want me to share your pain?
Ready?
Okay. So then you I shot it.
The water gets rid of it.
But so it's like you have a salty front, but then immediately
it doesn't taste bad.
The other rest of it is already following it,
right,
chasing it. So that makes it go by fast if you want to shoot it.
I'll do a tablespoon throughout the course of the day. There's nothing that says you have to have it all. Like we'll take this. Every one of these has 6 or 7 drops in there.
Right.
So you don't taste it at all. It ends up tasting like a San Pellegrino or one of those mineral waters.
Yeah.
Hap Hill
Yeah.
Where are y'all on the amount of daily protein? 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. That is a lot of food for me. It's like 200 grams. Okay. You should be having a minimum, and I know it's a broad statement, but everybody should have a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day. 200 grams is kind of high. Listen, the bare minimum that people like to say would be you would actually, it's not a gram per lean body mass. What the easiest way to take what is your current total body weight, and then what is that in kilograms, and then you should eat that many grams of protein, and they say that is a bare minimum. But there does become a point where your body just doesn't need and can't utilize that much protein. Now, if you look like Robert Sykes and you've got 200 pounds of lean body mass.
Right.
Lean body mass, like not your fat, not your water. Then you probably do need 200 grams of protein a day.
Because you're feeding those
muscles.
muscles.
Because you've got to feed those muscles. But I don't think most of us don't need to, except for Dr. Sean Baker.
He eats that much.
He eats that much.
He does eat that much
Now,
protein.
do we look like Dr. Sean Baker?
No, I don't.
I don't. Now, if you have 200 grams in a day,
I kind of look like him.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
If you have 200 grams in a day and the next day you only have 100, you're fine. But you should be doing at least 100 grams a day. But we're doing beef, butter, bacon, egg. So we're not counting any of that
You're just
stuff.
eating until
because you're eating meat.
Yeah.
And all of your meat is going to have protein in it. Okay?
Yeah.
Nobody should be eating anything. And this is honestly not nearly enough food. For anybody in this chat, anybody, period. A pound of beef a day is not enough food. It's not.
It sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot.
You're not going
but that's not a lot of food.
You're not eating a pound and gaining a pound. That's what that's the problem.
Think I eat 5. We just talked about this in a vlog.
People think that I need to lose pounds, so I don't want to eat a pound of food. But that is not. We're making the wrong analogy here. So also when it comes to measuring your protein, why would we be measuring fat and protein? A lot of times it's because we have other things in our diet and you're trying to prioritize it. Well, now you're in triple B and E. It's pretty much the only thing that you're eating. So you're not worrying that your ratio of meat to vegetables is acceptable or meat to carbohydrates. That's really what you're counting and tracking the most of, right? When you're trying to lose weight and, gain strength and stuff like that. So we don't have to track it. We really are just eating to satiety.
So just to give you an idea, a pound of ground beef is 80-20. If you went 80-20 and you got every drop of fat, you ate that ground beef raw.
Right.
Or you literally
Licked
cooked
the
it in a pan, poured all of the excess fat over your ground beef, and then licked the pan.
Do not act froggy about that because I have done that before. Okay,
I was not throwing you under the bus.
I saw the view of the undercarriage of the bus.
I never said Rachel has done this.
Or watch yourself.
You just threw yourself under the bus.
I may have.
Okay, that's 1,148 calories. It's 0 carbs, or not measurable. It's only 90 grams of fat, and it's only 77 grams of protein.
So
that's not enough food for anybody.
Yeah, not for the whole day.
We've talked about Peyton, our grandbaby, eats more than that in a day.
Yes.
She's a little bit smaller than us.
Now,
there's a reason that nutrition labels all say based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet.
Now, if you have had bariatric surgery, because I can see Michelle saying I literally cannot eat a pound of meat in a day unless I eat 5 or 6 times.
Then eat 5 or 6 times.
Then eat 5 or 6 times. Because what you're eating, again, especially if you've had any type of bariatric surgery, you are going to be nutrient deficient just because you have such a struggle getting the nutrients in. That is why that's
why bariatric patients lose their hair.
You've got to lead with your meat.
Yeah.
All the time.
If you've had gastric bypass,
it's
gastric
really
sleeve, or anything
hard
like that,
to get it in.
Those are the people, although I don't say that anybody should be carnivore, because again, There is no society that's ever existed and no civilization that's ever existed on this earth that is
Right.
truly 100% carnivore.
But this is such a unique
But
situation.
if you've had gastric bypass, bariatric surgery, if you've had a gastric sleeve, most of your diet should be meat.
Just because you can't get anything else in.
Because you need to get everything that you can get in.
Right.
And then, if you've gotten enough, then have some vegetables. But you shouldn't be having, again, I know a lot of gastric bypass patients, they're told, don't drink when you're eating, no water. I mean, I had a friend of mine, she wanted something, she would have to take her straw like this and put drops in her mouth.
Because you need all
they say
the
don't
room
drink it.
for the food.
It's something else that will help. So, now we've had a couple slices out of this. But this bag... And we've only had like 2 slices out of this. But this represents what's left here now, probably about 8 ounces of beef. That's a half a pound.
Right.
But that's this, because when I take the water out, the volume goes way down.
Yeah.
And that becomes a lot easier to eat. Now, here's the cool thing. I took out the water. I did not remove the protein.
Right. The protein is still completely intact.
Right. Do you have a bag of carnivore crisps
Yes.
anywhere? So that is just something that if you're having a hard time, dehydrated meats will always help because there's less volume with the same amount. So
here's a ribeye.
So this is ribeye, okay? This is 1.5 ounces that I'm not going to be able to open.
Because you didn't quite hit it.
So this bag, can you open that up?
Yeah, but now you have greasy hands.
And of course,
there we
took
go.
my knife out of here.
I got it.
Okay, I'm going to pour this right here so everybody can see. Okay?
Yeah.
That little bit represents 1.5, about 5.5 to 6 ounces of beef.
So this little bit.
That's 6 ounces of beef.
Yeah.
And
so this is like eating an entire giant steak.
So if you look at that, that would be 12 grams of fat, and that is 21 grams of protein right there.
Even though it doesn't look like that much food. See?
Yeah, because you've removed all of the girth with the water.
It's not a lot of volume.
That is all yours.
Because it's all dehydrated.
Yep. Let's see. FNP Phil said, you can have that. This is mine. I'm doing a random tracking day, and in my first meal, I had 126 grams of protein. I will have another meal. That's great.
Awesome.
Sometimes we just need it. Like Rachel will have days like, I cannot stop eating. And I'm like, then your body needs it, right?
You're hungry.
You know, we'll have a day where she'll eat 1,100, 1,200 calories, and she'll have a day where she eats like 6,000 calories.
It's just... You're actually figuring out, like, when are you hungry and when are you full?
Christina said, today I had bone broth that frothed with egg yolk and butter and lots of minerals, and I kept filling up my mug with hot water. So I'm calling it good on electrolytes, and I feel good. That is awesome.
That's key.
M. Mardigan, is bone broth made with chicken and pork bones okay for beef, butter, bacon, egg? I don't have beef
You don't
bones.
need to drink bone broth.
You don't need to drink bone broth. Is it going to hurt you? No.
No.
Is it strict beef, butter, bacon, and egg? No.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't need it.
But you don't need it.
You don't need it. Eat something else.
Yeah. Lady Laughed a Lot said, I take magnesium at night to sleep better, so the drops are okay in water for me.
I've done the drops. I really like the capsules. They are quite large, but there's no like weird taste. But I take the magnesium every single night.
FNP Feelgood said, I missed the live earlier because I got a phone call for a telephone interview. And we'll have a second interview this week. Is 90% formality. The FNP is no longer unemployed, y'all.
Congratulations!
So it's funny. We were talking when we were in Ketopalooza and we were hanging out at the house, and Dr. Berry was there. And Dr. Hampton was there, and who else was there? Kim Howerton and Dr. Boz, and oh my gosh, boy, did we scare Dr. Hampton's daughter? Because we were talking about like
you mean his wife?
No, his daughter.
Oh, okay.
She was sitting at the table, and we're talking about colleges.
I think you're talking about Lindsay's daughter.
Oh, Lindsay's.
Yes.
Yes, Lindsay's daughter. I'm sorry.
I was
we
like, Dr. Hampton does not have a
scared
daughter.
her, and Lindsay was sitting at the table.
Yes.
But we were talking about like just colleges and stuff like that, and what the real world is like. And one of the things we were talking about was jobs. Is that like if they ask you for your resume many times ahead of time, you already didn't get the job. That when you're in a situation like they know they want to hire you many times before they see the resume, and then afterwards they'll be like, oh, by the way, don't forget to send us your resume.
Right.
But it's like, here, I have a second interview. It's like 90% formality.
Mality.
Like, you got the job, but hey, we have to have it on record that we had the second
Way
interview.
to go.
That's awesome.
So
glad
excited for
that.
you.
Let's see.
Lisa.
Lisa's here, said, just had my blood work drawn with Dr. Cyrus. I was supplementing vitamin K and vitamin D. Come to find out, I really didn't need them. I was high on both.
And that's the thing. I mean, we take this, but we're a lot of times we don't know, like, is it making the difference? And, like, are the doctors checking up after they've suggested, hey, up this, up that? Like, you know, which brand should I buy? And then are we going to retest to see if my levels have gone up?
Andy said, Susan says you have a halo held up by your hands.
That's right, today.
Let's see. Lolo said I had about 150 grams of protein yesterday. Is that too much? Nope.
No.
That
sounds great.
perfect. Again,
how did you feel?
80 to 100 grams minimum.
Yeah.
The only thing that we're going to warn you with protein is when you're eating protein, make sure you're eating fat. Don't eat high protein and low fat. High protein and then not having any fat, especially when people like look at calories. If you eat 100 calories, 1,000 calories of protein, that's not fuel. A calorie is not a calorie. Your body doesn't use that protein for fuel unless it has no choice. It wants to use fat for fuel when you're not consuming carbohydrates. So if you eat a lot of protein and not enough fat, two things will happen. Number one, you will slow down your metabolism very quickly. And number two, your body will begin to use some of that protein because it doesn't want to use your fat.
And you're not giving
because
it
it's
enough fat.
afraid to use your fat because it's like, how long is this stored body fat going to last? So it begins to take some of that protein and turn it into sugar. Protein in itself doesn't turn into a jelly donut unless you're eating too much of it in a combination with not enough fat. That's why we always tell you a minimum of 1 gram of fat to 1 gram of protein and probably closer to 2 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein. But it doesn't mean lower the protein, it means increase the fat.
And you're going to see better results eating fatty cuts of meat. And there is going to be some nausea, some discomfort. It's going to feel odd if you brought a diet mentality into your keto. If you started doing keto with grilled chicken and broccoli that's been steamed, and then you go into triple B and E and you've got high fat suddenly because you're eating fatty cuts of meat, it's gonna feel weird to your system. You have to get used to it. But a lot of times we don't realize there's some carb creep. And there's also we're naturally reducing the amount of like fat we get. A lot of times we will lean in for shrimp and for fish and for chicken or for pork loin, tenderloin or something like that. And a lot of times it's because we're trying to lower the fat because we're doing keto, wink, wink, but we're like trying to bring in diet habits into it. And it's really hard for us to be like, no, I'm going to eat fatty cuts of meat and have it on your face.
You look like Madonna or somebody.
Oh, because I have a booty mark?
Yeah.
It's a beef mark.
Barbara, this is a great question. What do you do when you're not hungry? I had 4 eggs and 4 thick slices of bacon as my first meal. I'm not hungry, but no, it isn't enough protein or fat for the day. Okay. If you're not hungry, don't eat.
Don't eat.
Okay, you don't have to eat. Now, if this becomes a regular thing, you need to try to get more food in. But like I just said, there's going to be a day, and this happens to us a lot. I mean, and some people are like, what are you doing? Like, Chris could tell you, like, we're in Keto Palooza. We ate so much food on Friday that, like, Saturday, Rachel didn't eat at all.
And I was fine.
People look at like, oh my gosh, are you fasting? No, I'm just not hungry. But then on Sunday, she ate the entire cow. I mean, she ate like a steak, a full piece of salmon, asparagus, and I'm the same way. There'll be a day where, like, I am just not hungry. But then the next day, I'm ravenous. And I give into that because it's not like your body has a calculator that goes,
This
at
is exactly
midnight,
right.
everything shuts off. You ate 1,800 calories today, and now tomorrow's a fresh day. Now, it looks at it over a course of time. That's why we tell people who do alternate day fasting, if you want to do that, that's fine.
But are you eating
But
4,000
make
or
sure
5,000
on
calories
your
a day?
eating day,
Like-
you're eating enough food. You
Right.
don't want to do alternate day fasting where I'm not eating on Tuesday and then on Wednesday I'm only eating 1,300 calories because that's what the macro calculator says. No. On Tuesday, you should be, on Wednesday or whatever day you would be eating, you would be eating 2 days worth of food, you know? So if you're not hungry, don't eat. If you're coming from this already with, hey, the calculator said I'm supposed to eat 2 eggs and 2 slices of bacon, and that's all you were eating, and you're mentally convinced yourself that you were full even though you weren't, doubling it to 4 eggs and 4 slices of bacon, that may fill you up for a couple days. But eventually you're probably going to want more food.
Be open
and be
to
open
that.
to eating it. So
Yeah.
if tomorrow you want to eat 3 pounds of ground beef,
It's okay.
eat 3 pounds of ground beef. You're not going to be able to overeat it. People are already putting messages in the Facebook group or in the Mighty Networks group saying, I am finally for the first time, even the second day in, learning that I'm full.
Yeah, but you are not going to get those same signals with other perfectly keto foods. You are not going to get a signal like knock it off when you have a canister of nut butter in your hand. You're just not going to. I can eat way more nut butter than I can eat steak.
We may or may not have eaten an entire jar of almond butter in the past, in a sitting.
Right. So if you are somebody that's like, oh, I'm nauseous, I'm going to go eat nut butter or a piece of cheese to take off the nauseous. No, that's don't do that. That's just your carb addiction, like wanting to like get what it wants.
Yeah, and again, the thing is that we got to try to make sure that we're not confusing I'm not hungry with I'm not hungry for beef, butter, bacon, or eggs. And so that's why it's really supposed to be a 90-day challenge. Because like 90 days will become a major change in your life. 30 days is a good start, but 90 days is best. But the thing is that if after 2 days you go, hey, I'm not hungry, and you've given us something else, well, then did you really get in touch with that satiety?
No.
After 4 or 5 days of I'm not hungry, and the I'm not hungry is really I'm not hungry for beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, you're going to all of a sudden be very hungry for beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. So I think a lot of times when we first start out, we're like, I'm not hungry, but it's really more of, I just don't want that because I want
what else is
what
there?
I can have. Like Rachel walking around going, I want shrimp and I want salmon and I want stuff that I can't have right now. And as a result, she's like, I'm super hungry for other stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And if you have to coming into this, like, again, try not to snack. But if you have to extend your meal and let your meal be 2 hours, 3 hours,
it's okay.
Then do so. We're not snacking. We're eating this. We're going to, as soon as this live stream is over, I'm going to cook a whole bunch of beef.
Right.
And we did eat breakfast and lunch today. But it's okay if your mealtime is 2 hours long. Okay? Okay, FMP Feel Good, doing carnivore and beef, butter, bacon, egg, and intermittent fasting has helped me to learn when real hunger is, and that slight hunger is not an emergency I thought it was doing the standard American diet. I ate my first meal at 2:30 because errands and was fine.
That's fine. As long as you're having an authentic conversation with yourself, like that is a different. What I like seeing people set free from is, like somebody had posted earlier, I woke up and I wanted to eat at 10 a.m. and my first response for myself is, it's not time to eat yet. And they were able to say, I'm hungry. It's time to eat now. And I think that is the victory. If you find yourself saying like, man, I'm really hungry, like no kidding, I'm hungry. And then you feel like you need to like become a defense attorney as to why you're hungry, because no, the rule is we don't eat until 2:30 every day. That is not intuitive eating.
Right.
That is eating to a watch. So eating to your actual hunger cues is a very different experience. And I love seeing people set free from that. Because at the same time, you're also going to learn what full is. So we're afraid of hungry and we're afraid of full, right? But you're gonna find out like when are you authentically hungry, eat, and then when you're like, okay, I'm full, step away from the kitchen table and go do other things.
Right. So Michelle said, "I've only been eating beef, butter, bacon, and egg. I'm full
After
after 2 eggs. It's been almost 20 years since my surgery. I then eat more times
Frequently.
in a day. Eat more frequently. Eat 4 or 5 meals in a day.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, because you're not eating enough. You got to
It's
make sure
hard for
you're
you to
getting
get it
enough
in.
nutrition.
Yeah.
She said that handful still looks like a full belly to her.
Then
So-
you definitely have to. You're just gonna have to do things a little bit differently, but that's okay.
Lisa said, my nurse friend on Facebook today posted that keto shouldn't be done long term. I was like, here's my thing. Can you please show me that documentation? Right. Show me that evidence. Show me the study that says that. Because I can show you a lot of people that have been doing keto a lot longer than me, and they're super healthy.
Well.
Like, I look at Maria Emmerich. I look at Dr. Sean Baker. There are a lot of people that have been eating keto for 10, 15, 20 years.
Amy Berger.
Look at Amy Berger, Dr.
20 years.
Westman. Robert Sykes has been doing keto for a couple. I mean, I'm 6 years in. I think he's like 8 years in, and he's winning natural competitive bodybuilder competitions on zero carb. So
Right.
I would love to see the evidence and the studies that say that you shouldn't eat keto. Especially, I'd like to see one that says that you shouldn't eat keto long term that is not funded by any type of sugar company, drug company, because I'm going to tell you it doesn't exist.
Well, and we'll put up our like calcium scores. Like, let's look at our triglycerides. Let's look at our remnant cholesterol.
Yeah, we did a full thing with Dr. Sivas after Beef Butter Bacon Egg 2 years ago, and he dissected our labs. We had an office appointment or whatever you call it on camera.
Right.
And he went down all of our labs.
Yeah, because sometimes they just don't know what the big picture is. They only see that like cholesterol number and they can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Like I can't see anything else but that.
Let's see. Any more here?
I saw somebody ask about an egg up there. If you fry an egg, if you boil an egg or fry an egg, is the amount of protein same amount?
So when you cook meat and protein, okay, same thing with eggs. Eggs are kind of unique because you don't really lose much of anything when you cook an egg, but it will always have the same amount of protein and fat. The thing about eggs, so it's kind of weird. So eggs have, an egg yolk itself is about 1 gram of fat to 1 gram of protein. The egg white actually adds a lot more protein. So in itself, when you have an egg, if I can actually look it up here, you have a little bit more protein if you're eating the whole egg. That's one of the reasons that Dr. Berry actually says to, like, if you're having, say, 6 eggs,
toss a few whites out.
Toss a couple of the whites out. Let's see. Dashboard.
Michelle says, eating a carnivore bar now because I looked at my protein tally so far today and realized it's dire, and yesterday was really deficient. So yeah, I honestly think the key to your success, Michelle, is going to be spacing it out and saying like, I have the day to get it in. And if I have to have 6 meals, you can, if you need to picture it as an eating window, that's completely fine. So I have this many hours to get things in from sun up to sundown. If it's dark, stop eating.
Right. So if a whole egg is roughly 5.5 grams of protein and 4.5 grams of fat. If you look up an egg yolk, just the egg yolk, it's about 2.5 to 3 grams of protein and 4 grams of fat. The thing about eggs, though, is your body absorbs more of the vitamins and nutrients in an egg yolk when the egg yolk is not cooked.
Right.
But the protein from the egg white needs to be cooked or it's not as bioavailable.
That's interesting.
So it's interesting when you see people they consume raw eggs, remember Rocky drank the raw egg?
Ugh.
That protein isn't as bioavailable as if you cooked the egg whites. So what you really want is cooked egg whites and raw egg yolks. Or, I mean, obviously
Runny.
most of us like
Sunny
runny.
side up.
So that's why, like, if you're frying eggs, like Rachel can't stand it, but the best way to do fried eggs would be to have a sunny side up or over easy where the yolk isn't as cooked. At least as much as you can tolerate. Don't overcook the yolk.
I can do it better if I eat it on top of a hamburger patty because then it becomes like a sauce, you know, on top of the hamburger.
Yeah, so that's the thing about eggs. I love eggs, but after a while, I do get kind of sick of them. So that's why I'll change up. Like, I'm not a big scrambled egg eater. I want them fried, but sometimes just to change things up, I'll have them scrambled. But that protein in any kind of meat, eggs, anything like that, the protein will never go down.
That's a good news.
It'll never go down.
Can't lose it.
The fat can go down if you didn't literally get every drop of it. So, like, if you're cooking burgers on a grill, you're going to lose fat. It's going to cook down. You're going to lose water, but the protein never goes away.
That's why if you've made our bacon jerky, you're like, oh my gosh.
You don't lose as much fat.
You don't lose as much fat. So you put a piece of bacon in that dehydrator, you come out, it's the same size as you pulled it out of the package. Whereas if you cook it, you know how that is. Like, it just shrinks down.
FMP Feel Good said, I'm doing 30 minutes of weightlifting 5 to 6 days a week, and I get downright feral when it's time to eat.
Oh my gosh. I could totally like get on board with that.
Debbie said the magnesium capsules are one of the ones that are really messing up my stomach and digestion.
So go back to the drops.
I would go back to drops or something.
Yeah.
Again, too much magnesium can mess with our stomach sometimes. Barbara, question, what do you do when you are not hungry? Oh, I read that one.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, she had one, and then it got cut off, so she reposted it, and I put it up. FMP Feel Good said, I've had some high-calorie days in a row, and then the next 2 days, I only felt like having one meal the whole day.
That's
Yay
good.
for intuitive eating.
And you do
and that's what we're looking for.
And that is okay. And it can get a little bit challenging if you live with somebody. Because what happens when you live with somebody and you tap into intuitive eating? It means that you're probably not going to eat at the same time or with the same frequency as this other person. Because me having a ravenous day does not mean that Joe is going to have a ravenous day and vice versa. So just be prepared to also make sure that you have time for you and your partner or the other loved ones, you know, in your life. You can sit down with a glass of water while your kids are eating dinner so that you don't miss that dinner time where you're asking them, how did your day go? What was your high of the day? What was your low of the day? That was one of our favorite like dinner time chats. But I can do that with a plate of food in front of me, or I can do that with a glass of water in front of me. I can do it either way, but just be prepared that you probably won't necessarily need to eat together. You can do other things together, put a puzzle together, watch a movie together, brown chicken, brown cow together. There's lots of things that you can do with your partner that is not eating, but for a long time, that was a real obstacle within our marriage because we wrongly believed the test of a strong marriage was we ate at the same time and in the same quantity.
Right.
Or that I had some sort of girl version of his meal, which really wasn't going to work.
Janice said, I ate my first meal at 2 p.m. today. I had 1 hamburger patty, 3 eggs, and bacon, and that's good.
Awesome.
That's a great start.
Sounds
that's
great.
A decent amount of food.
I like the mixture, too.
Yeah. Andy said, Rachel, when you mentioned escaping from shackles in a previous video, you really spoke to me.
Because, man, I know what it feels like to be a prisoner of that. And I really do want us to get on the other side of that. Like, that's why I'm really pleading with you to do me a favor and not quit, even if you feel yucky right now. And that is hard. That is a big ask. I want you to understand that if you've ever tried triple B and E before and you've jumped off of it because you didn't feel good, I get it. I understand. This is really hard. But I want you to see the victory, realize the victory for yourself, not have a secondhand victory, not have like, well, it worked for Rachel and I'm so happy for her. No, I want you to have your victory. That means that we got to get on the other side of this. And it probably is going to take a week, maybe even 2 weeks, especially when you add in the caffeine withdrawal, all of that together to feel really good moving forward. And that is why we find a lot of people do the 31-day challenge. And by 31 days, they really do feel freaking incredible. And they usually keep going and go to 60 days or 90 days because it's like, I already got past feeling like sweaty garbage. So I might as well just keep going,
Yep.
you know?
A couple more before we get off. Dina said, my sister says I'm gullible because I believe what carnivores tell me. I know different.
Wow.
And yeah, people say that too. Like, I mean,
talk about laughing all the way to the bank.
My thing is like, who's the real gullible one? You
think that
y'all are listening to
the Cheerios
what
honeybee.
The Cheerios people are teaching us, and the fact that all of this stuff is funded by big pharma and big sugar, and nobody thinks about that. I mean, again, I was yesterday I was at the pool. We were doing dive work for my instructor course, and they were like, oh, it's a young kid. He's 22 years old. He's like, I was at some restaurant and I was going to send you a picture of my meal, and it was like corn chips. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me.
No.
And I tried explaining beef, butter, bacon, and he's like, that makes no sense. And I'm like, I can tell you I've done it several times, and it works. You can't gain a bunch of fat if you're eating nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. You know, it's kind of hard to explain how it works, but you're complaining about you don't feel good and you got to eat 10 times a day. It's because you're buying into what they're telling you. Eat 5 meals a day, and 50% of your diet should be grains, and sugar is not bad for you. I mean,
I'll tell you, one of the sickest ladies I know was my health teacher from high school. She was sick and her husband was very sick. And she would tout, like, this is the way we're supposed to be eating. And it was the food pyramid, you know? And she was talking about how, like,
things didn't get bad in this country until they changed that pyramid.
She really, like, followed that and was, like, eating, like, a lot of wheat. And she was always sick. She had really bad diverticulitis. She had terrible skin issues. And she would say, like, if I wasn't eating this, it would be even worse. Yeah. And I'm like, even at that time, I'm like, this is not working.
Right. Hapco? Haphill?
Yeah.
I used to hate runny eggs. Now, over beef, it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Evan P. Feelgood said, yes, I'm getting used to not always having meals with family. I will usually eat while I'm cooking their food or eat way before they fix their leftovers.
Yeah.
And one thing I did want to say, like, again, don't be afraid if you eat a lot today and don't eat tomorrow. Again, let's look at ancestrally. And again, I always like to preface it with, like, I'm not talking about ancestrally like cavemen. I'm look at American Indians, look at the Inuits, look at the Eskimos.
See your great-grandparents.
Look at the Mayans, how they eat now, right? The way we're designed to eat, you go out, you hunt for your food, you find your food, you feast. One of my favorite movies is Dances with Wolves. What happened when they found the buffalo?
They ate the buffalo.
And then they make some jerky with it to last. And then they come across some berries and they eat some berries. And that's how we're designed to eat. You feast, but then you may go a day or two where you're not eating. But on the days that you came across food and you killed an animal, you ate it until there wasn't much left because there was no refrigeration. It was smoke it and jerky a little bit of it. But again, we just finished that Yellowstone prequel. Same thing, right? They kill it. You're going to jerky a little bit of it, but you're going to eat it all in one sitting.
So Lolo, I know that Lolo has been doing this keto way of eating without family support. In fact, like the family's like, you crazy. So I'm really glad. And I don't think, Lolo, you're alone in that. Probably a lot of us have like at least extended family members who are like, I don't understand what you're doing. Yep. And then when you are like, hey, I'm going to amp it up with something like triple B and E, you sound even more crazy, right, to them. I'm so glad we're doing this in community because here is an entire group of people and we're all eating this month. And It's nice to know that we're not alone.
Michelle said, I think it's going to be an epiphany for me. Imagine how good I'm going to finally feel.
Yay! That is such a good attitude.
That really does help you.
That is a good one.
Again, I think that, we all look at people who have gastric bypass and they have this surgery and they gain the weight back and it's like, oh, well, it doesn't work. I think some of it comes from they go back to their old ways of eating and they try to stretch their stomach because we all know that can happen. But I think a lot of it, as Dr. Cyrus has said, the diet that they put gastric bypass patients on makes you gain weight. Yeah. It's sugar shakes and stuff. And then the problem is that we get these surgeries and our stomach is tiny, but everyone says, you can't eat. And meanwhile, you're getting more and more malnourished. And I think that the real problem becomes we end up slowing down our metabolism because we're not eating enough. And then we got people saying only eat 2 times a day, only 3 times a day. You're in a unique situation. The nutrients are super important. If you're not getting enough fat, you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough nutrients, you're going to have other medical problems and you end up slowing down your metabolism. So I think that it will really help you if you start eating, even if you incorporate 1 or 2 more meals a day. Last one I wanted to finish on this one. Janet, set me free from the shackles and finally seize the victory. It is coming. Even if I'm doing this through the new year.
Janet, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of everybody who is acknowledging this is hard, but I need it. I need it. Whether it is a reset, it is a rerouting, whether it is I want to figure out what's going on. I definitely think that there is a benefit to writing down your thoughts during this time. And I mean, Joe will always tease me about a paper journal, but even if it's on your phone, take some notes about this. You know, what are your thoughts? When you know, I know I've got access to like food that is really nutrient dense and a blessing to me, but I'm still dissatisfied. Like, what am I really dissatisfied with? What am I really missing? Is there some other thing that's a circumstance that I really want to deal with? Because sometimes, you know, that really comes out in this challenge. When you take away the security blanket and your coping mechanism of certain types of treats and snacks and like what we've assigned as self-care that comes in a eating form, we have to look out for like, what else is there? What can I use instead of food? Because if I'm just using beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and I don't have these particular snacks that I've kind of leaned on, what am I going to do with that? Or am I going to have to deal with some actual stressors that I just know I've just been putting off dealing with, you know?
Okay, we are going to get off. Again, guys, use the Mighty Networks group. That's why it's there. We're in there as much as we can. Rachel has been pretty much in there all day long.
I just want to make sure everybody's okay.
Post your questions, talk to each other, use the chat. Post up pictures of your food if you want. Share your wins, share your victories, share your struggles. I mean, that's what it's all there for.
Yeah.
And then keep up with the lessons each day. And we will check in again, definitely for sure, next Monday, probably same time, 5 p.m. And then throughout the week, you know, we'll see how